So we come to the first of the old school pugilism fighters profile. James Figg is who's called the father of boxing by many, was one of the first ever talked about champions of the bare knuckle era. And I'll just explain, the picture is nothing to do with that era, it's just a picture I did when I was younger. That's further down the line, and this is before Broughton rules, and where you sort of come up to scratch 30 seconds, you come up to scratch, etc. With rules like that, and before London prize rings, and especially before Queensberry rules. So I digress there. So James Figg was called the father of boxing. His record is a bit sort of muddled up because he did backsword fights and cudgeling stick, which is like a stick with a little round thing at the end, and quarterstaff and backsword fights also at fairs and exhibitions, etc. Sometimes they would fight in all like one or two of them weapons, and then they would fight bare knuckle. His bare knuckle record is 269 wins and 1 loss. That might be a bit muddled up. I've heard a lot of sort of read different things, that some of them might be sword fights, etc. Wooden back swords, etc. So, but I'm just going to go through his bare knuckle prowess. He was a big man for the times, and a lot of the times he would fight on stages, etc. He was known for throwing people off the stages, but there was no rules. It was more like what you call vale tudo in Brazilian or Portuguese all in. There was pretty much no rules, and if there was any rules, it would be down to who was setting it up, but most of the time it was no rules. On the ground it went on, biting, you name it, it was all in at this time. This is early stages. Obviously you had further back, you had pancration, which I'm going to do some other videos on at another time, with fighters like Theogenes, Enterez and Dares and Euryalus, etc. But I'm digressing there, so I'm going to come back to here. So I'm going to start off. James Figg was born in Tame, Oxford, 1695, and he was generally regarded as, like I said, the earliest prize ring champions. The first bare knuckle fighter to receive publicity was really, he came into prominence about 1719 as an all-round exponent, like I said, such as competitive sports as quarterstaff, small backsword, cudgel fighting, but was best known as a pugilist. So he was an all-round martial artist, really, in what you called English indigenous martial arts. Yes, England did have its own martial art there, ancient martial art. He didn't only fight, he taught it, so he's called the father of boxing, pretty much. He was a great fencer as well. As with a lot of fencers, they had their strong hand forward. Unlike the traditional today orthodox boxer would have his rear strong right hand further back for a cross. This is contrary to that. And you find this a lot with the old bare knuckle fighters. They'd have their strong hand forward for grabbing, etc., like the grappling, grabbing and hitting with the rear hand. So that, say you was right-handed, you'd be forward in a southpaw stance. It's called a southpaw stance today. So you could grab and hit with the other hand. And obviously there's a lot of grappling involved. So the strong hand forward would be a good thing to grab in that head. It's quite a dominant position with the old catch wrestling moves, etc., which are all in. There was no come up to scratch at this time. That come a lot later on, where you hit the floor with a throw or whatever, or a punch, and you'd have 30 seconds to come up to scratch. That was further down in the Broughton rules. But I digress there. He visited annual fairs, in exhibitions, booths, etc. And he featured in William Hogarth's Southwark Fair. He set up amphitheatre in Oxford Road, London, where he instructed various stage contests. So he taught it as well to the gentry, etc. They loved all that. Defeated men such as Timothy Buck, Tom Stokes, and Bill Flanders. Chris Clarkson, which lasted about 30 minutes, that fight. I'm going to add a lot more detail of other videos to each fighter as I go, but I'll just do a very brief one here. So I'll go into detail with them fights, etc. on the way down, as we do more videos here on James Figg and other fighters. He fought Ned Sutton, and the first supposedly was cudgelling sticks before using their fists. Like I say, it gets a bit mixed up with different reports, what's with a cudgelling stick or a weapon and what's unarmed in his record. But as far as I know, it's 261-0, his bare knuckle pugilist record. That one loss was from a guy from, like I just mentioned, from Gravesend, the pipe maker Ned Sutton. He said apparently he was ill. I mean, you know, I know we get all the excuses, etc. after fights. Fighters being fighters, you know, you've got to have an ego, etc. to be good. And yeah, he said he was ill this fight. He might have been, I don't know. And he lost that, but he revenged it against Ned, the pipe maker Sutton. So that's the end of the James Figg first video. I'm going to do lots of other fighters as I go. I'm going to add bits to these fighters as I go. Bang.